Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for anyone to want to. My name is Dan. I've said that too many times this week. Welcome to the fifth and final filler content stream for this week before we can finally actually get back into some normal content. So today, guys, I thought in our Friday stream we would talk about the new signings that are coming into the Premier League. I know that a lot of people have been talking about it right now on my Twitter timeline, so I thought, that's probably the best, topic for discussion today. In particular, a lot of people are talking about Luis Diaz, the new Liverpool signing from Porto. So yeah, definitely a player we perhaps want to be talking about a little bit and kind of wondering how he's going to fit in the Premier League. And I've got kind of a few other tabs / notes open of some other players we might want to talk about as well. But of course, if we miss anyone and there's anyone you particularly want to talk about in this video in terms of new signings, please do let me know in the chat and we will do so. But thank you everyone for joining me live. Thank you for everyone who's watching this as a stream replay as well. If you do enjoy what you see today, please do leave a like. Massively helps out the channel, particularly during these quieter times in this season. But without further ado, guys, I think let's start talking about some players. So our first player is Luis Diaz, as I kind of mentioned. So who is he? Well, Luis Diaz is a winger, primarily a left winger this season. He's exclusively played as a left winger. I'm on the Transfermarkt website at the moment, and you can kind of see his stats here. You can see he's played 24 games at left mid and 4 games at left wing. I don't know how, it's not always 100% accurate, but what we can definitely tell from here is that he always plays on the left. I have to tell you the truth, guys, I don't watch a tremendous amount of Portuguese league football. In fact, I don't think I've watched any Portuguese league football, certainly not in the last few years. So I've not watched him in action in the Portuguese league. I've seen him once or twice in the Champions League, but that's pretty much it, to be honest. So I'm not going to be able to give you a full rundown on exactly how he plays, but from what I have read, from what some video clips and stuff, basically he is a left winger. He's right-footed, so he cuts in from the left-hand side, and actually he's kind of more of a kind of a striker, more of a direct player. Like, he will take shots rather than pass. So he's got a lot of shooting ability, but he wouldn't necessarily describe him as a creative player, which kind of fits into the Liverpool system, doesn't it? As the wingers are the primary source of goals. That's kind of exactly what Luis Diaz is, and I think he is really here to kind of, I guess, challenge Mane for a slot in the team. You don't think he's going to challenge Salah? Although Diaz has played on the right wing before, he is very, very much primarily a left winger, a cutting inside left winger to shoot. So for that reason, I just feel like maybe he's going to be kind of encroaching on the left wing position of Mane. I can't really see him playing in the centre. From what I've read, he's never really played through the middle, so he's not really going to be a central player. He's not really going to challenge in the Firmino / Jota position in the centre, unless Mane's going to come into the centre. But I do think this is going to limit Mane's minutes a little bit. This is probably the long-term replacement for Mane. That's kind of probably what Liverpool are looking at doing right now. And I don't actually know if he's actually worth considering too much in FPL, because Mane's not just going to completely lose his place. I think like that Diaz, I know a lot of people are really excited about him, particularly Liverpool fans, but I don't know if he's necessarily going to be coming in straight away and locking down a position and being worth, going, because really, guys, we're talking really about using one of our Liverpool slots, and most of us are kind of real set and forget on Trent Alexander-Arnold, and of course on Salah, particularly when Salah is back from AFCON. We're going to be looking at those two players, and we've got one Liverpool slot really to go for after that. And we're going to waste that on a player who is not going to be playing too many minutes. I just feel like, if anything, what this is going to do is kind of make Jota maybe slightly more desirable. He's a player that we talk about a lot at the moment, so there's going to be a lot of competition for those front three positions, and maybe there'll be a bit of a shift around. Maybe Mane plays through the centre sometimes. A lot of the time we see Jota on the left instead of Mane, but Diaz is of course going to compete in that left-hand side. We've got Firmino there. He's going to be part of the main three, you would probably say, although Jota has been playing a lot. So really, all this really does for me definitely takes away the appeal of Mane. So definitely will not be going anywhere near Mane. Slightly takes away the appeal of Jota. So actually maybe Jota is kind of edging towards a player we might want to sell in the near future. And I think that's the main takeaway from this Diaz signing. And that's pretty much it. Again, he's a goal scoring player. He's not a creative player. So I don't know if he's going to improve Salah really. Maybe he's going to improve Salah's assist output if he's more of a shooting player. He's been described in the chat here, guys, as kind of like Rafinha or Mahrez, or a kind of a direct dribbler, maybe, willing to take a shot on, particularly from distance, and quite technical. On that left-hand side, cutting in to the right instead of a Mahrez or a Rafinha, who are obviously right-sided wingers who cut in, towards the left. So that's kind of what we're dealing with here as a player. Let's have a look at the comments to see if anyone's got anything to say about Diaz. So, Daddy Paul is the guy who said he's a kind of a right-footed Rafinha Mahrez type player. Ashik says, I think Diaz will ultimately become a kind of Jota. The problem is there's now two types of Jota in one team, so that's going to kind of be difficult. Yuri Rapsis says, if anything, he makes Mane even worse asset. I completely agreed. Jeremy says, what a signing? And Rohan says, is doubling on Liverpool defenders too risky? And I don't think that is true. And I don't think that's going to be risky at all, really. So don't worry too much about that. But there we go, guys. In terms of price predictions, I'll probably say that Diaz is probably going to be around the 7.5 million mark. But I don't think he's going to be worth the 7.5 million if he can't, nail a place down in the team, which I don't think he will. So overall, although it's very exciting from a non-FPL perspective, I'm sure, particularly if you're a Liverpool fan, I don't think there's too much here, really. I don't think there's too much here to talk about in FPL terms. The only thing, Jota less desirable, Mane less desirable. That's all I'm going to say on that one. So let's move on to the next player. And I've got here Wout Weghorst. Wout Weghorst, you might recognise if you watch a lot of, particularly if you watch, European football, the Euros, the World Cup. Weghorst has been a player that's very much been around the Netherlands international setup for a long while now. He's he's turning into a bit of a veteran, to be honest. He's 29 years old now. He's been playing his football at Wolfsburg for quite a while, actually. I mean, he did play in the Netherlands before that, but that seems like so long ago. I can't really remember him playing in the Netherlands that well. I think I remember him maybe having one good season in the Netherlands. I can't remember who it was for. It might have been, let's try and find the season in the Netherlands that he played, where he's just scored like loads of goals one season. Out of pretty much nowhere. It was a bit of a kind of an unknown quantity, a late bloomer, if you like, in terms of the overall football. There we go. So in the Eredivisie for was this for Alkmaar? Yes, it was. 18 goals and 6 assists in 31 games, so he did really well there. But since then, he's really just kind of forged a bit of a reputation in the Bundesliga as kind of a target man type striker, big man up front, hold up play, headed goals, that kind of thing. And that kind of really suits the team that he has been very strongly linked with, which is Burnley. So Weghorst is going to most likely be the new Burnley number 9 to replace Chris Wood. Pretty much a like for like, in many ways, a like for like kind of transfer there. So, Burnley continuing their the Burnley way of having big man up front, lob it forward to the big man up front. So, he's so far this season not been amazing, but he's got a really good record. Like, Bundesliga is a difficult league. Maybe I don't want to debate which is the most difficult league to score in, but it's a very, very high quality league. And last season we saw in the 2021 season 20 goals and 9 assists in 34 appearances. So he's got a really good output playing for a Wolfsburg team, which is kind of not the best team in the league, but not the worst either. It's arguably a step down going to Burnley in terms of how Burnley will compete in the league compared to Wolfsburg in the Bundesliga. But he's just a really decent target man striker, and honestly, I think this is going to be a really nice signing for Burnley. I think this is actually a really good acquisition, and if he can get some service, and that is going to be the key component here, isn't it? The lack of creativity in that Burnley side. If he can get some service, and if he's a good price, the worst thing is if he's kind of FPL decide he's a 7.5 million striker. For a different team, if he was playing for an Everton or a Newcastle maybe, then yeah, maybe he is a 7.5 million striker. But for Burnley, he's not really. He's you've got to be a 6.5 really or less if we're going to be going for our Burnley striker. So if he can be sensibly priced, 6.5 would be a really good price for him. 6 million even better. Then yeah, definitely a very, very good. It could be a very, very good FPL signing, particularly with the amount of Burnley fixtures that they've got left to play. We're going to have loads of Burnley fixtures. I think they've still got 4 unscheduled fixtures. Let's just double check on that quickly, guys. But I believe it's 4. They're not the best fixtures in the world, admittedly, but I think they've got 4 unscheduled fixtures. Yes, Tottenham, Aston Villa, Everton and Leicester there. So, Everton and Leicester, not bad fixtures there, really. And there's some other okay fixtures between now and the end of the season. And it's a big if he's reasonably priced, he could be a really good option. In the chat here, we can see that Rohanna says, does he make Cornet a better option? I think so. I think he could make Cornet a better option. That's actually, if you think about Weghorst and Cornet as a 2-man strike force, then actually I think that's a pretty decent, a pretty decent strike force, those 2 players. So genuinely could be an okay FPL asset. Definitely a player we probably, if we're free hitting one week, for example, and Burnley have a double game week that looks pretty good, something like that, then a free hit 1 week punt player, I can definitely see myself going for a player like Weghorst. As a long-term signing in your FPL teams, I am not so sure, but again, it's very much going to depend on the price. I'm kind of really hoping for a 6.5 million or less, but I think that may be ambitious. I can see FPL being really, really stingy and listing him as a 7 million or more striker. And if that is the case, we're going to have to see some results before we go for him. We're going to stick on the we're going to stay on the Burnley transfer rumours just for 1 second, because there is one other player who's kind of interesting. Marcus in the chat says he took pens for Wolfsburg as well, so there you go. A penalty taker for Burnley would potentially be looking at here as well. Although how many penalties do Burnley get? Not very many. But sticking on the Burnley suspected transfers in, and a lot of these are not confirmed, but Mislav Orsic, who has been tearing up the Croatian league for years. The only reason I know that is because he's on FIFA Ultimate Team. He seems to get 1 million inform cards on that game, doesn't he? So yeah, a player who is just been doing so well in that league, far too good for this league, really, is kind of what I've ascertained from what I've read. And therefore, he's looking for a new challenge. Finally, and he's going to come to the Premier League, to Burnley. So yeah, he's a left winger primarily. That's kind of where he's always really played. I imagine he probably can play in some other positions, judging by what we're seeing. We see here that he can play as a centre forward, and he can potentially play on the right as well. Let's just go on the previous season as well, kind of see some stats. Quick look at these stats though, by the way, guys. 31 games in all competitions so far this season, 9 goals, 5 assists. It's not bad. It's not bad. But if we go to last season, if it will load, it slowly will load, then we can see, look at this, guys. So, yeah, really, really tearing up the Croatian league, and make of that what you will. But, in the Europa League as well, you can see he's got 6 goals and 2 assists last season in the Europa League. Over, a goal every other game in the Croatian league, and an assist. Assists to add to that, it means he's getting a goal return more than every other game. So pretty nice in general. And again, primarily playing as a left winger, though he can play in the middle or on the right if he's needed. But it does seem like he's going to be brought in to play as a left winger. Copsy Coop says he's known for destroying Spurs last season. Who could forget? Colin Burke says Orsic headliner 1 year was saucy. I remember 1 year he had an inform card, and I think it was a couple of years ago. He had an inform card that was just like ridiculously good. It was only like an 82 rated, but it played like a 90 rated. It was unreal. It was absolutely mad. So yeah, FIFA fans will know about Orsic for sure. He's had a lot of really good cards on that game just because he's performed so well in the Croatian league. So, a good signing, actually, really. I mean, he plays for Croatia as well, of course, on the international scope. Has he played any, games for Croatia recently? Not really, but yeah, overall a decent player. A decent player. There we go. He's got an assist just a couple of years ago. He's not really played too much for Croatia recently, but yeah, Perisic is obviously competing with his position there, but he's a really good player. He's a really good player from everything I know. He's for Burnley, he's a really good player, and actually, again, if he is sensibly priced, I'm thinking, if we can get him for something like 5.5 million, maybe he could be a really nice differential, a really nice punt. But I don't know. We've seen kind of what players from the smaller leagues can do when they come to the Premier League. There's been players from, recently the Czech Republic League, the Czech League to West Ham. Players have come in and done really well. We've kind of seen some of the other smaller Europeans, the Belgian league, stuff like that. Players coming into the Premier League and doing really well. So I wouldn't judge too heavily. Just because he plays for a lesser league that he will struggle in the Premier League. You never know what's going to happen. There's plenty of examples of players coming in and doing well, and he's got Europa League, experience, which is a fairly competitive league, and international, nous there as well. So Orsic, the Spurs destroyer, coming to Burnley, very looking likely. A lot of people have mentioned in the chat. Jerome says, wait, was Orsic that one player who clapped Spurs? That's the guy. So, there we go. Next player I'm going to talk about is Dejan Kulusevski. Kulusevski is a right winger for Juventus, Swedish player. He's pretty young. What is he? He's 21, so he's 21, going to be 22 in April. He's pretty tall. He can play as a second striker as well, but he does primarily play on the right wing. Now at Juventus, he's a bit of a bit part player. He's a little bit of a bit part player. He's not been able to solidify a place in the team really, which is why there's considerations to move him on. Juventus can know that they can fetch a decent amount of money for him because he is a really, really highly rated prospect. In terms of good attacking footballers, he is one of the best upcoming young footballers in Europe at the moment. So really, really exciting there. But he just can't find a place for himself in the Juventus team, which kind of sucks. But they've got obviously a very decent team there. But you feel like he could do a good job at a Premier League side, and the Premier League side's kind of linked with him. Spurs today have been linked with him quite heavily, and Arsenal have been in for him for a long while as well. Arsenal have been looking to get Kulusevski for a while. So Spurs or Arsenal, gonna be a decent signing. Whoever gets him, even if this is kind of a lower down the league team maybe, but for Spurs or an Arsenal, who are top teams really in the grander scheme of the Premier League, it's going to be a really good signing for him. He's going to be a player who is very likely to start, particularly if a lot of money is paid for him, and a lot of money is likely to be paid for him. He's going to be pretty good signing. How will that kind of translate to FPL? I'm not exactly sure, to be honest. For Spurs, you could see him playing alongside Kane, but then does that mean Son is dropping out? Does that mean Lucas is dropping out? So maybe he's not 100% nailed there. At Arsenal, where is he going to play? You'd probably say that he's going to play. He would play as a striker for Arsenal potentially. I can't really see him displacing Saka. Maybe Saka moves to the left and Martinelli is the player who drops out and Kulusevski goes on the right. Maybe Kulusevski is kind of remade as a left winger. He's a left-footed player. He's a cutting-in type player. So I don't know. Let's see. The website, by the way, guys, is transfermarkt.com. It's just a really good... .co.uk, sorry. Just a really good website for referencing footballers around the world, really, and kind of finding a lot of information. I find a lot of my information for my videos and stuff on Transfermarkt. It's definitely a recommended website. I would definitely recommend it. Someone in the chat says, thoughts on Vlahovic? He looks like he's moving to Juventus, right? So from an FPL perspective, I don't know. Jerome says, is Kulusevski even going to leave, though? I think he's going to want to leave. He seems like he wants to leave. He wants to find some first-team football, and he seems like he may be able to find that in the Premier League. So if that's going to happen, then brilliant, I suppose. Ivano says, Arsenal are basically linked with every human being. That's so true. Jake T says, Arsenal signing Gunnosaurus. Yep, fair enough. Copsy Coop says, I see him starting over Lucas. Yeah, particularly if Spurs revert back to the three-man strike force. Son on the left, Kane in the middle, Kulusevski on the right wing. That could very well happen. Kulusevski's actually a pretty decent creative player as well, so yeah, could be interesting for Spurs. I could see him. I don't know where I see him fitting in at Arsenal. He would kind of have to be the striker, kind of maybe dropping in deep a little bit. Varun says, I heard Kulusevski going to Milan. Okay, that's interesting. I've not seen that. I saw Spurs pretty heavily linked with him just a couple of hours ago, so I don't know if he's going to Milan, but yeah, it's this a player that's going to want to escape Juventus. Right, next player, Rodrigo Bentancur, sticking with the Juventus theme, I suppose. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time on this, really. I mean, he's been heavily linked with Aston Villa, but I think Aston Villa have actually had a bid rejected now. I don't know for sure if this one's going to go through. And even if it does, it's a defensive midfielder, which is not really too interesting for a fantasy point of view. It's probably not going to be a player that we're very likely to bring in. Very good player, but he's a defensive midfielder. I mean, if anything, maybe that makes some Aston Villa defensive assets a little bit more interesting if they're bolstering their defensive midfield. Diaz could be a nicer option with the addition of Bentancur. So I don't know if it's such a good thing to talk about from a FPL perspective. I mean, if this was to happen, if Bentancur did come to Aston Villa, then I guess that means that Douglas Luiz drops out. Would that be the player, or McGinn? I mean, there's talks of course of Douglas Luiz actually moving to Arsenal. Maybe we won't talk about Arsenal signings. Maybe we'll talk about Arsenal signings. Maybe I should talk about Arsenal signings. Maybe we'll talk about that at the end. But basically, not really an interesting player from an FPL point of view. Not really sure about this one, to be honest. But maybe it has an impact on Douglas Luiz. Maybe it has an impact on McGinn, who are players we don't really talk about too much anyway in FPL perspective. Maybe it improves the desirability of those Aston Villa defenders. That's all I'm going to say on that one. We've got Armando Broja as an interesting one, who seems to be linked with everyone at the moment. So obviously he's a Chelsea player. He's on loan at Southampton. Southampton are trying to sign him on a permanent, but we don't know if that's going to go through. But also, there seems to be a lot of other Premier League teams sniffing around Broja as well. We've got, so let me try and remember all the teams I've seen linked with Broja. So I saw Wolves linked with him. I saw West Ham linked with him. Was it Newcastle? It might have been Newcastle. Everton, if Calvert-Lewin was to leave. Yeah, so there is every chance that by the end of the transfer window, which is, by the way, is only 3 days left, we could see Broja lining up for a different team. Can you imagine a Broja at kind of like a West Ham, for example? Would he displace Antonio? Well, certainly if Broja was brought in on a permanent, they would be looking at the long-term development of Broja, and they want to be playing him, particularly if they spend a lot of money on him. Does that mean Antonio, the versatile guy that he is, stops playing as a striker, maybe starts filling in some of the wing positions? Does he start? Does his development continue? I imagine that the only way he would kind of agree to kind of cut his Southampton loan short, I don't know how much control he has over that, but cut his loan short and then move to somewhere else, as if he did have some, guarantees of first team football. And I think Southampton actually are the only team that kind of, really going to offer him that at the moment. You'd say that maybe some of the other teams, Wolves maybe would offer him that, but is that really a step up? Would you cut your loan short at Southampton when you're doing really well, go back to Chelsea, and then disappear off to Wolves? Would you like that project as a Broja? I'm not sure. Rohan says Chelsea won't strengthen West Ham, top 4 rival. All I'm saying is what I've read. Jerome says surely he stays at Southampton for now. I wouldn't go anywhere else if I was him. Yeah, I kind of get what you mean there. Jeremy says Broja might be a good signing for Wolves because he's very attacking. Yeah, could be a decent replacement for Adama Traore. I know it's not like for like, but he is doing very well at Southampton, so maybe that's the play. Maybe, it's in everyone's best interest if Broja stays at Southampton. But I feel like as a Broja, you maybe would want a release clause in there, just so you are ready to move to maybe a slightly more ambitious club, because Southampton have not been too ambitious recently, have they, in recent years? So, and what we see from Broja is there is genuine potential for him to be a kind of at least Europa League and above level kind of striker. At least if not a Champions League level striker. There we go. Choco Cookie says Broja to Everton and DCL to Arsenal would be interesting. DCL in particular. That would be an interesting line of transfer moves. I would be pretty interested in that. I mean, do we want to talk about Arsenal? Let me know, guys, if there's any players in particular you want me to look, you want to have a little chat about in terms of players likely to move into the Premier League. But if you want to talk about Arsenal, I mean, what is going on there? I mean, I'm an Arsenal fan. For those of you who don't know, I do support Arsenal. I'm a huge Arsenal fan. Like, I'm not, obsessed with Arsenal or anything like that, but it's just the team I've supported since I was a kid. I am genuinely more interested in my fantasy team than Arsenal, if I'm completely honest, but I suppose this is my job, so that kind of makes sense. But I do support Arsenal. I want them to do really well, and I follow them pretty religiously. Go to a game a season if I can. Obviously, that's not really been the case over COVID, but prior to that, who are Arsenal going to sign? This is the big question, and it seems like the answer is nobody. And this is particularly worrying because Arsenal have sold everyone. They've sold all of their players. There's more and more players leaving. I mean, we saw yesterday, out of nowhere, Callum Chambers suddenly left the team, which means we don't even really have cover in the centre-back position other than Rob Holding. So it's obviously we've got Gabriel, we've got White, and then Holding if things go wrong. So many other players. I mean, can we find a list somewhere of all of the players that Arsenal have sold? Let's see if we can find it. Arsenal transfers out. There we go. Is that already a very, very highly a really highly searched term there? So departures. We want to kind of look at the winter departures, really, don't we? But okay, we can't filter that. But who have we seen leave? Maitland-Niles has left this window. Kolasinac has left on a free this window. Callum Chambers has left on a free this window. Pablo Mari, he's left on a loan. That's it, actually, isn't it? But these are kind of the squad depth. This is the squad depth of Arsenal. And there's also a lot of talk. I've seen talk of today of Nketiah. He's only got 6 months left on his contract, so he's potentially going to be going off to Newcastle. Newcastle are interested in signing him, in which case Arsenal would have no backup strikers at all. No backup strikers. I mean, where's Balogun? Is he at the club at the moment? Is he on loan? I forget. He went on loan to Middlesbrough. So, man alive. In fact, that only happened. Why was that not listed on the other page? Don't know why that wasn't listed on the other page. But how frustrating. Arsenal are just kind of mudded at the moment, aren't they? Just absolutely mudded. And we have no squad depth. We can't use the excuse of COVID to call off games anymore, because you have to have 4. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but in the Premier League now you need 4 COVID cases to call off a game now to appeal for your game to be rescheduled. And it's unlikely that that's going to happen very often, to be honest. So what we're going to see is Arsenal, if we have a couple of injuries or 3 COVID cases and a couple of injuries and suspensions or anything like that, absolutely screwed. Really, really need some players. Rohan says go Bamiyang leaving too. I mean, he's frozen out. He's very likely that he leaves, and even if he doesn't, he's not going to be playing for Arsenal again, I don't think. Tomiyasu is nailed now. Yeah, well, I mean, Tomiyasu was already nailed. He was just kind of been carrying injuries and illnesses for a little bit of time. So yeah, Tomiyasu, when fit, is absolutely nailed, and he always has been since his arrival at Arsenal. Really, he was brought in to be the main right back. I think he's done really well there for Arsenal. But we need some signings. Dominic Calvert-Lewin to Arsenal would be fantastic, but 1, I think that would cost way too much. 2, I don't think Everton will let that happen. The backlash after Digne leaving. it kind of puts it really puts Everton would make it look really silly, and the fans would just really not be happy if Calvert-Lewin was to leave Everton in this transfer window in particular, with not really much time to find a replacement. If there was some kind of chain of transfers that allowed it to happen, obviously it'd be fantastic. I don't know. Kulusevski has been linked a little bit with Arsenal, but again, it seems like Spurs are the front runners there. Who else has been linked with Arsenal? We've had Ishak. Ishak has been linked, the Real Sociedad Swedish striker, who, by the way, is absolutely crazy good. I think he's so good, but I don't know if he's the one who's going to arrive. Again, I think he's going to cost too much money. I think his release clause is something stupid like 80 million euros. He's got a good rapport with Odegaard, to be fair, so maybe that helps. It would be a really nice signing, but again, I don't know if that's going to be a signing that's going to happen in the January transfer window unless we can, pay his release clause. And even so, do Arsenal match Ishak's ambitions? I don't know. I'm not really 100% sure, to be honest. I don't know. Rohan says Arteta coming out of retirement to bolster the midfield might have to be the thing. Sudindra said thoughts on Douglas Luiz and Artur to Arsenal. It looks like the Artur, obviously he's the Juventus midfielder who signed from Barcelona a little while ago in that quite controversial deal. It does seem like that is not going to happen. I think Juventus want it to be an 18-month loan, and Arsenal only want 6 months of him. Douglas Luiz, I can see being a little bit more likely, particularly if Aston Villa get Bentancur. But imagine, right, Aston Villa are the one getting Bentancur, the better player out of Douglas Luiz and Bentancur. So, I don't know. It's a dodgy situation. And I don't know who else has been linked with Arsenal. Obviously Vlahovic, but that's not happening. He's going to Juventus. Who knows? I mean, the only thing more depressing about Arsenal's transfer window is perhaps Spurs' transfer windows. Someone said in the chat, "You're making this about Arsenal." I mean, a few people asked me to talk about Arsenal, so I did. I mean, we're very much in filler content this week, so I'll just talk about whatever you guys want me to talk about. And to be fair, I did spend the first half an hour, 25 minutes, half an hour talking about no Arsenal signings. But there you go. I was asked to do a little Arsenal transfer rant, and there you go. There is your Arsenal transfer rant over. There we go. Douglas Luiz got hitched with a Villa women's team player. Doubt he's leaving. Is that true? Wow. That is so cute. Men's and women's team uniting in marriage. I love that. If that's true, Rohan, by the way, you're coming up clutch in the chat with some interesting little comments. I'm enjoying it. Bruno Guimaraes. I've never know how to say. Guimaraes. Guimaraes. Anyway, he's a kind of is he that interesting? I mean, we could talk about him. He's going to Newcastle, right? Is that done now? Oh, now I've got to spell it. Something like that. Yeah, that's pretty good. The problem is he's a defensive midfielder, which doesn't make him very interesting from an FPL perspective. But hang on, let's have a look at his stats. I don't know if he's scored many goals in his career, but from FIFA, I know he's a defensive midfielder. But yeah, okay, maybe not too interesting from an FPL perspective as him as a player alone. You know, he's just going to be a typical 5 million midfielder or 5.5 million midfielder that no one's really interested in. But is he going to improve that Newcastle defence? Hey, who knows? Chris Yang says she's from West Ham, not Villa. Okay, well, maybe Luiz is... this is Douglas Luiz. If it's a West Ham women's team player, then maybe he'd like to be in a London team, Arsenal maybe. But that is adorable. Love that. Right, Yuri Raps in the chat says Guimaraes. Legolas says Burnley sold 6'3" Chris Wood just to replace him with 6'6" Weghorst. Is so true, right? Check Louise's Instagram. Oh, right. Okay, fine. Let's do a little Douglas Louise Instagram. We're going to get to the bottom of this. Is it a Villa player or is it a West Ham player? I'm assuming this is the photo you guys are talking about. I can't be asked to log in. All right, forget that. But there we go. West Ham. I'm going to believe she's a West Ham player. She used to play for West Ham, then Everton, then Villa. Okay, so she's a travelling all around the Premier League, different clubs, a journeyman player. Fair enough. Is she good? I don't know if anyone knows. Peter says, possibility of your wildcarding next week? Oh, I don't know. There's a possibility, but I don't know for sure. When you're buying a green screen, I don't think I'm going to buy a green screen, to be honest. I think like some other people go with a green screen. I don't know. I think maybe a green screen is kind of not overdone. I mean, I used to use a green screen. I have 2 green screens in my house because I used to use a green screen for my previous YouTube channel. But I thought instead I'm going to try and build a bit of a backdrop. I mean, the lighting looks pretty bad today. I haven't really figured it out completely because I've changed the colours of walls. I've changed my lighting. I haven't really figured it out. But I don't think there'll be a green screen. Julian Alvarez to City. Yeah, I even put him in the thumbnail, didn't I? But he's not actually going to be at City until the summer, right? So I don't know if we can necessarily talk about Alvarez just because it's not really gonna impact us for a long time. Maybe we'll talk about him next summer or something like that, depending on whether we think he's likely to get very much game time, to be honest. But there we go. So all right, we know now Douglas Luiz's girlfriend, wife, not sure, is called Alicia Lehmann, and she plays for Villa. So there we go. A Villa love story among the football club. Gotta love it. Okay, maybe he is not going to move to Arsenal anyway. They might want to stay in Birmingham. When to get Wolves defenders? I mean, if you want to talk very briefly about Wolves defenders, the fixtures don't look great, if I'm honest. Why am I searching here? I don't really know what I'm searching. The fixtures don't look great, to be honest, for a few weeks. Arsenal, Spurs, Leicester, West Ham. After that, Crystal Palace from 28 could be a good time to jump on. Because then you've got Crystal Palace, Everton, Leeds, Villa, Newcastle. That's a pretty decent run of games there. And of course, there'll be a couple of games to be rescheduled in there as well. But it's not quite time. It's not quite time for Villa. But anyway, guys, I think we've pretty much covered... I think we've pretty much covered all of the main players who have, been coming to transfer into the Premier League. Just as a bit of filler content. I mean, I can probably stay on stream for like another 10 minutes. We can just talk about whatever random stuff that comes up in the chat, I suppose, because we're just trying to fill time at the moment. I just want to make normal videos again. I want to make buy, sell, keep, avoid. I want to do my team selection video in full clown makeup. I want to do the 100 experts video. I want to do my my Q&A video as well, which is going to be out on probably Sunday. So, yeah. What's your favourite UEFA Champions League team? I mean, Arsenal when they're in it, but that's been a few years, so I don't really know. I don't really support anyone in the Champions League. I mean, I guess I like PSG. I like some of their players. To be honest, I really want Man City to win the Champions League. I wanted them to win it last year, but it wasn't to happen. I just think like they're just such a good team. When a team deserves to win the Champions League and they haven't, it's kind of a little bit frustrating. I want them to just tick that off, and then I can go back to not supporting City in the Champions League. But yeah, I suppose I'd say Man City would be my Champions League team at the moment anyway. Johnny says, I know it's a bit off topic, but who do you think will get relegated from the Prem and promoted to the Prem this season? I mean, relegation, it's kind of... Well, let's bring up the table. It's kind of not looking good for some teams. I mean, Norwich are on the rise. Newcastle don't seem to be able to escape. Burnley have got so many games in hand that it's kind of ridiculous at this point. Watford have just replaced their manager. What's going to happen there? Who do I honestly think... Well, I mean, Everton and Leeds. Surely Everton and Leeds are not going to get relegated. Brentford are actually kind of on a bit of a downward spiral as well. So I wonder if Brentford may drop into the danger zone. Well, they are quite a few points clear, but they haven't got any games in hand. I don't think they have anyway. Have they got any games in hand? Maybe they've got one game in hand, but certainly less than any other team. Look at the teams below them. Leeds and Everton, Newcastle, Watford, Burnley have got so many games on them to play. Norwich, is there going to be like a resurgence? Is there going to be like a resurgence of Norwich? Are they going to be able to actually survive, or are they just going to continue their ping-ponging from the Premier League to the Championship? I don't know. It'd be interesting if Newcastle get relegated just because they spent so much money, but you have to feel like they can escape. I mean, they're one win away from going above Norwich, or one draw from going above Norwich, and that's just their game of hand. But the problem is, because so many teams have so many different amounts of games to play, it's so difficult to say. So a lot of people will say, for example, Burnley, they've got a really good chance of staying up because look how many games they've got to play. But they've got to win those games, and those games that they've got in hand are not exactly easy games. I think their easiest game from their remaining games is Everton. That's their easiest game. So that's going to be a huge relegation scrap, or could be a huge relegation scrap. I don't know. Do you even consider Everton in the relegation battle at the moment? It's really difficult to say. Really difficult to say. Sharjil says, are we opening FIFA packs, Dan? I'm going to go open FIFA packs at 6. I'm going to go away and, open those FIFA packs. Imagine if Everton get relegated. Yeah, I know. I don't think they've ever been relegated from the Premier League. I think they've been in the Premier League since its inception. I'm pretty sure. In fact, I can't even really think of a time where Everton weren't even in the top division of football. I don't know. Yeah. Ethan says, what do you think of Let's Talk FPL? He was one of my main inspirations for starting up this channel. So, I hold him in very high regard from a professional point of view, for sure. I don't think he likes me, though. I don't know. he's never really taken a shine to me. I've tried reaching out to him a few times, but I don't think he's very interested, which is fine. He's obviously on another level in terms of FPL creators. He's really got nothing to gain from me. So it's kind of whatever. I kind of understand it. But I'm always going to try and reach out to other, content creators. I'm loving a lot of new content creators in FPL at the moment. In future, do you plan to collab with other creators or show up in some Scout Fantasy Football Hub videos? I was in some Hub videos earlier in the year, but we kind of parted ways early on in the season. I would be open to, feature. I'd be open to featuring in any podcast or show or live stream or whatever of other creators. As long as I don't have to do too much work, because to be honest, what I was doing with Hub was quite time consuming, really time consuming. It actually started detracting from my content. So it's kind of a little bit difficult. So, I would love to do more collaborations. I really would. That's kind of one of my goals of this year, to just do to do some collaborations. CP says they still owe you money. Yeah, Hub do still owe me money, but it's fine. Abdullah says, are you still mates with any of the commentary channels you used to interact with? To be honest, not really. I've not really spoken to any of them in probably at least a year. I am interested in potentially getting back in touch with them. A lot of the guys who I used to talk to aren't really into football, so I probably will end up bumping into them if I ever go into like any football YouTube related events. I probably will may bump into them again. I'd like to potentially reconnect, or maybe even collaborate with them. I don't think FPL content has to just feature FPL people. I think it would be arguably just as interesting to get some just everyday people involved. As long as these everyday people are are good, got good on camera, have a little bit of experience being in videos and stuff like that, and are watchable and entertaining and stuff like that. Then I think FPL is primarily an entertainment platform, so I don't think. Although I do like a good FPL conversation, I never really want this channel to be for the hardcore FPL people, really, because that's not me. I think FPL should be for everyone. If you have a little bit of interest in it, or if you have a lot of interest in it, or if you want to spend 30 hours a week researching, watching videos, whatever, then you're welcome. If you just want to watch one video a week just to kind of get a kind of rough idea, or you want a little bit of guidance, or just interested to see what I'm up to in FPL, then you're welcome here as well. So it's for, I want to keep things fairly inclusive. But there we go. Who do you think is going to be the new Everton manager? I genuinely have no idea. What do you think is Luis Diaz as an FPL option? Yeah, we spoke about him earlier in the stream, but honestly, not too interesting. I think he's more interesting in terms of how he's going to affect Mane and Jota's minutes. That's what's going to be the most interesting thing about it, not himself. Your guest says, you are representing the commoner doing well at FPL. Stay the same, Dan. Cheers. Yeah, I mean, yeah, well, absolutely. If I can do FPL well, or achieve a fairly high rank in FPL, then anyone can. I'm not like a super geek. I'm not someone who's been playing religiously for the last 10 years. I only really started playing FPL seriously in the last few years. Before that, it was just a fun thing to do with my friends, and I usually didn't even complete a full season. So it was just a fun game to play, and that's what I imagine a lot of you guys are as well. You play FPL because you play it for fun, you have fun with your mates, and I would imagine that some people are kind of under the impression that everyone's just obsessed with getting a top 10k rank or something like that. But I don't know if that's true. Necessarily. I think a lot of people just want to have some fun, pick some players, get some good differentials in their team, beat their mates, and just enjoy it, and enjoy the culture of it, and the banter and the community that comes with FPL. I think a lot of people are actually here for that. So there you go. Abdullah says, I know for a fact that you were a big fan of Chris MD back in the day. Of course I was. I still watch his videos from time to time. In fact, he's the biggest, most famous person who follows me on Twitter, actually. So definitely got a very large soft spot for him. I know he's an FPL fan, so there you go. But there we go, guys. I think we've got 10 minutes until I've got to go off and open up some FIFA packs for Team of the Year. I've got so many packs saved. I know a lot of you guys don't have a clue what I'm talking about, but FIFA is a big part of my life. So I'm going to go and open those FIFA packs, and I will update you guys on Twitter if anything, if I pack anything crazy. My friend earlier today packed Team of the Year Messi, and I'm so jealous. He didn't even wait to open till 6. He just went in this morning and packed a Messi. I was like, how, man? Come on. So I'm going to go and do that, and I'm going to go pack my own Messi, maybe an Mbappe. Maybe. We'll see. But yeah, wish me luck, and if anyone is interested in the results of, because I've got like 90 packs, I've got a load of ultimate packs that I've saved, and rare mega packs and stuff like that, rare player packs and jumbo rare player packs, all kinds. People saying stream it. I haven't really got the setup to stream, as in my Xbox is in a completely different room. I haven't actually got a capture card. Well, I do, but it's a really old one and it's buried somewhere. Not really got the infrastructure. But next summer, or during this summer, should I say, I'm thinking about doing some game streaming, whether that's FIFA, Call of Duty, Apex Legends, just the games I'm playing anyway. I will be probably streaming a little bit over the summer on Twitch. So I guess Well, wait for that. It's not going to happen immediately, but it's going to happen eventually. There we go. Right, guys, thank you so much for watching this. Another random stream that is not that good, not that interesting, but at least it fills that little void until FPL comes back. This is the last of the filler content. You guys are probably saying, thank God, Dan, get back to the normal stuff. We're not here for this. We're not here for this. But yeah, there'll be no video tomorrow because I am out all day. I'm not available tomorrow, so there's not going to be a stream or video. But on Sunday, I will be trying to upload that Q&A video. If anyone wants to ask me any more final question for the Q&A, let's just show you guys. If you want to ask a question, literally tonight/tomorrow morning will be last chance to ask a question. But yeah, I posted a thing on my YouTube homepage where you can just ask a question, non-FPL mostly, and yeah, I'll answer that all in a big video to celebrate 2 years on YouTube, or 2 years on this YouTube channel anyway. And there's a tweet where I asked the same question, but the tweet is probably buried, so if you want to find it on Twitter, feel free. If you want to just comment on the YouTube thing as well, that's also fine. So there we go. Filler over. Q&A Sunday. And Monday, we'll be back to our regular programming. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you later, mates. Don't forget to like. Bye-bye.